How you doing? I'm Dan Ferris.
I'm Michael Williamson.
From Complete Media Inc., the finest marketing advertising agency on the prairie. I don't know if you remember this or not, but it was Dan Rather before he got canned from the network.
He left on his own accord.
He did. But there was a big story. He was accosted by somebody on the street that kept saying,
REM.
No, what's the frequency, Kenneth?
Yeah.
What's the frequency? We're going to talk about frequency and marketing dollars because this happens a lot too. You get business owners, smaller business, medium business, that are primarily in charge of their own marketing. They have to make decisions with their marketing dollars, and they will put those dollars somewhere that's, maybe a very good idea, but there isn't enough of an investment there to really get the frequency and to hit it and hit it and hit it. And so it's actually viable and credible and shows a return. And we're going to dig a little deeper on that.
Right. I mean, I can't tell you how many times in past lives that I've been approached by salespeople, and I'm sure you can echo this, and it's still true to this day, that a particular advertising medium will say, you know what, for the next 3 months we've got this great promotion that we're going to run, and we'd like you to be a sponsor of it. We'd like to have you be a part of it, and here's the deal. And on paper it looks good. It's not too unreasonably priced, but the reality is that a 3-month campaign on radio or TV, in print even, isn't going to accomplish a whole lot of anything. And so you got to look at frequency. And it's interesting in that at the time of this recording, there is currently a campaign running on local radio about how radio is the sticky medium. And that is effective. The message is very effective. But what I find interesting is they themselves admit in that message that it has to be at least 6 months. So even they recognize that frequency is important.
When it comes to your messaging, when it comes to your marketing, your advertising, certainly, the average human being in the United States of America takes that person 15, 20, 25 times to be engaged by the message, to see that message, to hear that message before they even notice it or start recognizing what that is about.
You know how easy it is to prove that theory right there? I challenge anybody. Think of the last year Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And how many people watch the Super Bowl just as much for the advertising as they do the game itself? And I would challenge anybody. Name 3. Name 2 commercials from beginning to end. Name the product. Some people can do it. We're in marketing, and I'm not sure. I could throw it out there and I could be lucky. I'd say, oh yeah, that Bud Light commercial was great. Because they probably advertised with Coca-Cola or Budweiser. But the reality is that you probably only saw that commercial one time. And therefore, after a few weeks, definitely after a few months, you're not going to remember it.
No, unless it is a year-round full-blown campaign, right, like Budweiser, like Pepsi-Cola, something like that one time turn it and burn it on, the vehicle that is the Super Bowl.
Right.
It's like, one time. There is an ad, and I want to say it was 2002 or 2003. I loved this ad in the Super Bowl, and I'm pretty critical about it. I mean, this ad just slaughtered me. The problem was I never saw it again, and I couldn't remember who it was for. So it's like, well, there's a couple million just shot because I'm lost now.
I'm always surprised after the Super Bowl, the few and very few of the advertisers do rerun certain commercials that they ran for the first time during the Super Bowl. There's so few of them, but at least they stand out. I go, oh, that was a Super Bowl commercial, and they're still running it. But just a mere fraction of them do it. So what's the other message there? It's not just about frequency, it's about how big your pocketbook is. And the reality is that to have effective frequency, you better have the budget. And how many small business owners out there have it? Not many that we encounter.
Well, that's just it. And small business owners, that's what it is. X amount of dollars are going to be put towards marketing. And if you can't do it right and go play with the big boys, unless you can own a frequency on a radio dial or own a specific, local television network affiliate, especially if you have competitors that are shouting real loud every day of the week, you really have to consider, again, can those same dollars be used more powerfully for my business somewhere else?
There was a business not long ago that did have its own radio station. I say was a business. So even if you have your own radio station, you're not guaranteed that you're going to get enough frequency that people are going to do business with you.
Well, and that's the thing. There's, again, I don't think we've done an episode of this where we haven't brought up, there are so many different delivery systems for marketing and advertising anymore, and what's going to fit your budget the best, because at some point it does come down to dollars. That's what it is, and how can they work the best for you? They're real easy to waste. Really easy to waste.
Sure. I always love it when people talk about the impressions, the number of impressions any particular ad makes. And nowadays, impressions is a buzzword when it comes to advertising online, whether it's paid for, whether it's Google AdWords or whatever it is, and they talk about, or Facebook ad, they talk about impressions. And it's impressive to most people. Wow, I got 198,000 impressions in the last month. Well, I like to tell people that is the same as if you are driving down the interstate at 85 miles an hour, and in this state in particular, you go by a billboard every tenth of a mile, and you notice it, that's an impression. And 5 miles down the road, if I ask you to name one of those billboards and the message, God forbid the phone number or the web address, you can't do it. But it was an impression. So that's not the same as frequency. So that's not what we're talking about here. There's no value in impressions. Frequency is, like Dan was saying, over the course of time, it needs to hammer on the consumer at least 12 to 15 times for it to even begin to stick, so that when they have a need for whatever product or service that you're offering, then they go, okay, I remember learning about this business because of their TV campaign, their radio campaign, their print campaign, their billboard, or their online presence. Of all of those, what's the most affordable? Obviously, in this day and age, online. What's the most consumable? Online. So that's where Complete Media puts a lot of our emphasis, is because we recognize that in this day and age, people don't go to the yellow pages. They don't go to the strip mall. They don't go wander around the shopping mall. They go online. They do research, and they want to find what they're looking for and know where they're going before they take the time, make the effort to go do that. And so that's where we kind of start the ball rolling. And then when it makes sense, if it makes sense, we might start to look at more traditional media.
A good case in point, if you have ever traveled through the state of South Dakota heading from east to west, and this is old-timey advertising, there's a little touristy joint West River called Wall Drug. And years ago, they just assembled billboards and chunks of plywood and cornfields all along the interstate heading west. Is all about, everything from where the hell is Wall Drug?
Jackalope.
Drug. Free ice water.
Jackalope.
I mean, it was...
Jackalope.
And is, and a number of them are still up. But because of the frequency of them, just visual on the side of the road, you can't escape it, and it starts to get kind of fun. And it was brilliant, and they've been up for decades, and sometimes they switch them out. But you know what? If you're blowing through Dakota from east to west, you're probably going to stop at Wall Drug.
You have to stop at Wall Drug. Your kids will hate you. You're a bad parent.
Just to go, okay, ta-da.
We did it.
Yup. Again, it's not necessarily the slickness or the sexiness of the campaign.
The jackalope was sexy.
Is the messaging and the frequency. Kind of like Burma Shave, if you're old enough to remember that. I'm not, but I've seen documentaries. Same thing. Frequency. It's there. So, it's budget versus frequency. Can this be done and be done correctly? Again, just some great rules of thumb to go by, or you can make it real simple and just call us here at Complete Media Inc.
Yeah, I always like to translate it for my clients as this: if you've been approached to spend X amount of dollars on a billboard, and this happened recently, and I believe it was about $3,000 for a month. And I said, you can't just look at it in short term of a month. You have to at least go 6 months. So now you're at how much? Do the math. 3 times.
It's over $100.
$18,000. I said, that's the only way you can guarantee that you hope to get any effectiveness off of that. Okay, so $18,000, and how much business are you going to have to generate? New business, not standing business, because if your business is well enough that you can absorb that cost, then great for you. But the chances are that it's not. I mean, why are you considering it? So that you can increase business. So you need to be able to cover that investment. And that put a whole new light on that situation for that client. And he was looking at it in terms of 1 month, $3,000. Oh yeah, I got that. That'll be fine. That'll be great. I want to do a billboard. That's fun. Yeah, it's fun to see yourself up there and drive your family and friends by. There's my billboard, and it lasts for a month. And I guarantee you, you'll generate no new business. So look at it in terms of frequency, which means effectiveness. And you're looking at 6 months. That's a whole different investment. That's a whole different ball game. And if you can't do that, then it behooves you, word of the day, to talk to people like us that can find better ways to maximize your marketing dollar.
That's all there is to it. Frequency versus budget versus investment. What are you getting back? Can those dollars do what they're supposed to do in that particular medium when it comes to just repetition again and again and again until you know it's got traction, you know it's working, people are noticing it. That's it. I'm Dan Ferris.
I'm Michael Williamson. What's the frequency, Kenneth?
That's behooving. See ya. What was that about?
He was just psycho.